I know. I feel like during that time, a lot of people had been like sort of anticipating, like, hey, when is Cameron Grimes going to go to the main roster? When is he going to go? And then it finally happens, and you're like, yes, it's finally happening. So you go to SmackDown, and things they work out very differently, right? I think a lot of
Right.
people were expecting you to go right in there, have some sort of story, because I think that's everybody's idea, is that if someone gets drafted, it's because there's a plan set in motion. Like it feels like there's a reason, a purpose for that person to get drafted. And you were in matches here sporadically here and there, and then, unfortunately released. So I do want to talk about that period when you're in SmackDown and you're sort of, I'm assuming, waiting for some creative, waiting for something to really get going. What was going on behind the scenes? What did you know? What didn't you know about your status on SmackDown?
Right. So, at the very beginning when I got drafted there was still kind of a power struggle happening. Vince was gone, but he wasn't gone, and Hunter was in charge, but he wasn't fully in charge. So, what I would know is that like I would be on the script, and then it would go to Vince, and he would change the script. And I don't think he really liked NXT guys, right? So the changes that would always happen would be me being taken off the show. So that happened for a couple months until finally Vince was completely gone, and now Hunter was in charge, and then it became well, now how do we reintroduce this guy who hasn't been on TV for a few months and hasn't really done much? How do we reintroduce him back into a show that is so hot at the moment? If you look at that time period, we were building to WrestleMania. I can't even think of the number, but the WrestleMania where Sammy and Kevin wrestled the
39.
Usos. Right. So like we're building to all this huge stuff and this huge, like we're getting into the massive bloodline angle, and we're on a 2-hour show. So when there's an hour promo promoting the hottest angle in the company, you know what I mean? Like, and then you got to get also, you got to get the females on the show. You got to get the other stars on the show. So it's hard to get that spot when you're trying to figure out like, well, what do we do? So I would, I pitched a bunch of different ideas because it just drove me crazy, honestly. And a lot of people, you'll hear throughout like the business, like, oh, you're getting paid. Don't you just shut up? But like that's not what I fell in love with. Like I wanted to wrestle, so I would annoy the hell out of the writers and just try to pitch ideas and try to like figure something out. And they have a very stressful job as well. The writers trying to figure out everything and write everything. They're getting it from every direction. So it doesn't help when I'm asking to work every single week, right? So it was just hard. It's very hard, and it should be. It's WWE. It's the top of the top. It's I mean, the best of the best. And when you're fighting for a 2-hour time slot, like you have to get those spots, and when you get them, you got to take full advantage of them. And I don't think that I fully took advantage of maybe the moments that I could have taken advantage of. But I mean, that's something that ultimately helps the story as well. And now we live in the age where everything is on the internet. Everything can be seen. So if someone leaves, you can still follow that person's story, right? So I'm taking this now as like hopefully it's building my story and helping that like I said at the beginning, like my true babyface story, to where if I get that moment again, I take full advantage of it and people really appreciate it.
So, clearly, like I said, the goal is to go to the main roster. And the reason for that is if you want to have your big WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, all of those big moments are going to come from being on the main roster. Like you sign up to be a WWE superstar because those are the end goals. Those are the things you want to do. So when you're not on television, that's, getting further and further. So obviously saying that it drove you crazy, I 100% get it, because the point is you want to be somebody on the show. And so when you're pitching these ideas and then you're getting taken off of the card, all of that, what is being said to you? Are there any like reassuring words? I know it's kind of silly to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
reassuring words, but
yeah,
what's being said to you?
yeah. I've always had kind of reassuring words, and like I try to be very humble when I do these interviews and when I talk to everyone. But all the best wrestlers in the world know how good I am, and that helps carry on, right? Like when I have those feelings of like, well, I haven't been used in a year, right? And like maybe I'm not as good as I could be. And then I have the best wrestlers in the world telling me, man, you're really good. And we know you're good. We just wish you could get the chance. Like that helps keep me going. Right. So I was getting all the reassuring stuff from everyone, from Hunter, from everyone. And they're telling me like they know how good I am, but it's just trying to find that spot, right? Trying to find that moment. And when you're a business that is, uh, whatever multi-billion dollar conglomeration, right? Like you have to make those things where when it comes time to show the all the spreadsheets and stuff of all the budgets and stuff, like you have to make those cuts. And when I have 9 matches in 2 years, uh, you have to, you know what I mean? You have to consolidate that. So like I understood that, and having the stock gimmick helped teach me that, helped kind of teach me like how business really works. So like I was aware that it was going to happen, but like I said, everyone was telling me that I was okay and that I was good and I'd be fine. Um, and they were right. I do believe that I'm going to be okay and I'm going to be fine. And I do believe that I will be back in WWE. Because like if you see now, like all of our top talents, they're in their mid 40s, and you know, to be honest, right? And I'm talking to you today at 31 years old. I've been doing this now going into my 17th year as a professional wrestler. Um, and in the past couple years, I've been extremely healthy, right? Because I haven't been working, right? So I've used that time to get my body better, continue to stay healthy, so that in 15 years, if it takes 15 years to get that opportunity, my body and mind and everything will be ready for that. So I mean, you know, I mean, it's still exciting.